Be honest with yourself. There were nights when you made du'a, and deep inside your heart, a terrifying question appeared. A question you were too ashamed to say out loud. Has Allah abandoned me? You kept praying. You kept waiting. But the door never opened. The relief never came. And slowly, silently, the heart began to feel tired. But what most believers never realize is that this exact feeling once appeared during one of the most painful moments in the life of Prophet Muhammad, may the peace and blessings of Allah be upon him. And what happened next changed the way Muslims understand hardship forever. Because before this video ends, you will understand something many believers misunderstand about pain. Hardship does not always mean Allah is far from you. Sometimes it means something else entirely. Something deeper, something terrifying, and something beautiful. But to understand that, we must first confront a truth many Muslims are afraid to admit. Some nights, the heart becomes heavy. You sit alone. Maybe after everyone is asleep. Maybe after another long day of struggle. You raise your hands. You make du'a again. The same du'a. The one you have repeated for months. Maybe even years. You whisper it quietly, because your heart no longer has the strength to cry the way it used to. You wait. But nothing changes. Life keeps moving. People around you celebrate their success. Their doors open. Their dreams come true. But your life still feels stuck. And slowly, a dangerous thought appears. Not loudly, not clearly, but quietly. What if Allah is not listening anymore? What if I have been forgotten? But what most believers do not realize is that this exact fear once spread through the streets of Makkah, and it happened during one of the darkest emotional moments in Islamic history. For a period of time, something unusual happened. Revelation stopped. The message from the heavens became silent. Days passed, then more days, then weeks, and the sky remained quiet. The man who carried the greatest message on earth waited, but nothing came. No new revelation, no new words, just silence. And the enemies of Islam noticed. They began to mock him. They laughed. They whispered among themselves. Then they said something cruel. They said, "Your Lord has abandoned you. Your Lord has left you." Imagine hearing that. Imagine carrying the mission of truth, while your enemies laugh at your silence. But what happened next is something many Muslims overlook when they read the Qur'an. Because Allah responded, and the response came through a verse that still speaks to every struggling believer today. In Surah Ad-Duha, Allah revealed a powerful reassurance. Your Lord has not abandoned you, and He does not hate you. Qur'an 93 verse 3. Pause for a moment. Think about that. Allah did not just say, "I have not abandoned you." He added something else. Nor does He hate you. Why mention hate? Because when suffering becomes long, the believer begins to fear something deeper than hardship. Rejection. When du'a feels unanswered, the heart begins to wonder, did I do something wrong? Did Allah turn away from me? But this verse destroys that fear. Your Lord has not abandoned you, and He does not hate you. But what most people miss about this verse is the timing. Because it was revealed during a moment of silence. And silence can be the most painful test of all. Think about the emotional weight of that moment. The message had been coming regularly. Guidance, revelation, connection with the heavens. Then suddenly, it stopped. No explanation, no warning, just silence. And the enemies of Islam used that silence as a weapon. They mocked. They insulted. They spread rumors. They said Prophet Muhammad, may the peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, had been abandoned. But Allah waited before responding. Why? Because sometimes Allah allows the silence to expose what is hidden in the hearts of people. And sometimes, the silence prepares the believer for a deeper understanding. But the story does not end there. Because something else happened in this surah that many Muslims never noticed. Allah did not immediately explain the hardship. Instead, He reminded the Prophet of his past. He reminded him of the times Allah had already helped him. Why? Because when the future feels uncertain, Allah tells you to remember how He carried you in the past. But before we explore that lesson, there is a powerful story from the life of Prophet Muhammad that reveals something extraordinary about patience. The life of Prophet Muhammad, may the peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, was not a life of ease. Before prophethood, he lost his father, then his mother, then the grandfather who protected him. Loss after loss, pain after pain. Yet every stage of hardship was preparing him for something greater. And when revelation passed, the silence was not abandonment. Think about the way Allah structured Surah Ad-Duha. First, Allah reassures Prophet Muhammad, may the peace and blessings of Allah be upon him. Your Lord has not abandoned you. Then, He reminds him of the future. What is coming next will be better than what came before. Then, He reminds him of the past. Were you not an orphan? And Allah sheltered you? Were you not searching? And Allah guided you? Were you not in need? And Allah enriched you? This structure reveals something powerful. When the believer feels lost, Allah reminds them of three things: the present reassurance, the future promise, and the past mercy. But most believers focus only on the present pain, and they forget the past mercy. Let me ask you something. How many times has Allah carried you before? How many situations once felt impossible, until suddenly a door opened? How many nights once felt hopeless, until relief finally came? Yet when a new hardship arrives, we forget. We forget every previous rescue. But Allah does not forget. And that is why the Qur'an reminds us, your Lord has not abandoned you. But there is something else hidden inside this message that changes everything. The silence you fear may actually be a form of mercy. Because sometimes Allah delays relief, not to punish you, but to reshape you. Hardship can purify the heart. It can break arrogance. It can deepen sincerity. It can turn an ordinary du'a into a desperate cry from the soul. And the du'a that comes from a broken heart is often the one closest to acceptance. But many believers give up right before that transformation happens. They assume silence means rejection, when in reality, it may mean preparation. So the next time you feel like your du'a is disappearing into the sky, remember this moment in history. The enemy said the prophet had been abandoned, but Allah responded with a promise that would echo forever. Your Lord has not abandoned you, and He does not hate you. The same Lord who spoke those words to His prophet is the same Lord watching your struggle today. The silence does not mean absence. The delay does not mean rejection. And the hardship does not mean you have been forgotten, because sometimes the darkest nights appear just before dawn. Sometimes the silence is preparing the heart for something greater. And sometimes Allah delays the answer, so that when it finally arrives, you will understand the wisdom behind every moment of waiting. So if your heart feels tired tonight, remember this verse. Your Lord has not abandoned you, and He never will.